He dragged his car sideways and blocked my only parking spot, then smiled and said, "Good luck moving it." I didn't say a word. My truck was still running. My daughter was in the back seat, late for school, holding her bag tight like she already knew something bad was coming. Karen's son leaned on his shiny sports car like he owned the street. "HOA rule," he said. "You park where I tell you." I looked around. No sign, no notice. No cones, just his car sitting right in front of my driveway and on my land. I said calmly, "Move it." He laughed, pulled out his phone. "Touch my car and I'll call the cops." My mom runs this place. That's when Karen came storming out of her house in slippers and a bathrobe, screaming before she even reached us. "You can't park here. This whole row is HOA controlled." I pointed at the metal survey marker near my tire. "That marker says otherwise." She ripped a paper from her bag and slapped it on my window. "Violation. Tow incoming." Then she leaned close and whispered, "People like you don't last here." 5 minutes later, a tow truck rolled in fast. Too fast. No city logo. No badge number. Just a guy who didn't even look at paperwork. My daughter's hands started shaking. I stepped in front of the truck. "You touch my vehicle, you're trespassing." Karen's son smirked. "You're about to lose that junk anyway." The tow driver reached for the chain. That's when I quietly pulled out my phone and pressed record, because what they didn't know was this entire street had cameras, and this wasn't the first time Karen's family tried this trick. I looked at her son and said softly, "You might want to move your car now, before this gets very expensive." He laughed again. That laugh didn't last long. The SUV stopped quietly. No sirens, no flashing lights. Karen crossed her arms and said loudly, "Good. More witnesses. You're about to see him arrested." The man stepped out, calm, tall, eyes sharp. He didn't look at Karen first. He looked at me. Then he nodded once. Karen's smile froze. Her son whispered, "Mom, why does he look serious?" The man walked straight to the tow truck and asked, "Who told you to hook that vehicle?" The driver shrugged. "HOA order." The man held out his hand. "Let me see it." The driver hesitated. Karen rushed in. "You don't need to show him anything. This is private property." The man finally turned toward her. "Ma'am, this is not private HOA property." She scoffed. "I've lived here 10 years. I decide what happens." He pulled out a badge. "Real, metal, heavy. County investigator," he said. And this land was flagged last month for illegal enforcement. Silence hit the street. Karen's face went pale. "That's impossible." I spoke quietly. "I told you this would get expensive." Her son stepped back. "Mom, you said the HOA controlled everything." The investigator pointed at the survey marker near my tire. "That marker proves this driveway belongs to him. Not the HOA, not you." The tow driver slowly removed the chain. Karen started yelling again. "He threatened me! Arrest him!" The investigator looked at me. "Do you have proof?" I raised my phone. "Everything is recorded." He watched the video. All of it. The blocking. The fake tow. The false accusation. The moment she screamed on purpose. He looked up slowly. "Ma'am, filing a false police report is a crime." Karen laughed nervously. "You can't arrest me. My husband is law enforcement." The investigator's voice stayed cold. "Then he should have taught you better." Her son suddenly shouted, "Wait! It was my idea." That's when the investigator said the line that made everyone's stomach drop. "Good, because you're both being investigated." Karen's knees almost gave out. And this was only the beginning. Karen started shaking her head fast. No, this is going too far." Her son grabbed her arm. "Mom, let's just go inside." But the investigator raised his hand. "Nobody's going anywhere." 2 more vehicles pulled up behind the SUV. This time, real lights. Real uniforms. People on the street stepped back. Karen's voice changed. "Oh, thank God, officers. He attacked me. He tried to damage my son's car." One officer looked at her, then at the tow truck, then at me. "Ma'am," he said slowly, "we already watched the footage." Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. The tow driver tried to slip away. "Stop," the second officer said. "You're not licensed in this county." The man froze. That's when everything cracked open. The investigator spoke again. "This tow company has been reported 4 times. Same street, Same HOA. People started whispering. Karen shouted, "This is harassment! I pay HOA fees." The officer replied, "HOA fees don't give you police powers." Her son suddenly pointed at my truck. "He was about to hit my car. He said he would ruin it." I finally spoke, calm but clear. I said it would get expensive. "Not damaged." The officer turned to him. "Do you know the difference?" He looked confused. I unlocked my phone and showed another clip. A second angle, from my neighbor's camera. It showed his car parked sideways, blocking my driveway for hours. The crowd gasped. The officer nodded. "That's intentional obstruction." Karen screamed, "He doesn't belong here." I looked at her. "My name is on the land deed." She laughed in panic. "That's impossible." "You rent!" I handed the investigator a folded document. He opened it. "Read one line," then looked straight at her. "This property was purchased 6 months ago. Cash." Her son whispered, "Mom." "You said he was broke." I met her eyes. "You judged the wrong person." The officer stepped closer to her. "Ma'am, you're being cited for trespassing." "False reporting and HOA abuse." She yelled, "This neighborhood is ruined." The investigator replied quietly, "No, your control is." Karen's son backed away, staring at his car like it was suddenly unsafe. Because he still didn't know. The most painful part hadn't happened yet. Karen's son rushed toward his car. "Mom, let's leave now." He grabbed the door handle. It didn't open. He tried again. Harder. Nothing. He looked at me. "What did you do?" I stayed still. "Nothing." The officer walked closer and checked the door. "Vehicle has an active immobilizer." Karen blinked. "What does that mean?" The investigator answered, "It means the car can't be moved." Her son panicked. "That's illegal." The investigator looked at him. "No, what's illegal is blocking a registered driveway." He tapped his tablet. "This car was flagged the moment it blocked access." "Smart system." Karen stared at me. "You planned this?" I shook my head. "You forced it." She screamed, "Undo it right now!" The investigator turned the screen toward her. "Request must come from the property owner." Silence. Everyone looked at me. Karen swallowed. "You're enjoying this?" I bent slightly so she could hear me. "I'm enjoying the truth." Her son kicked the tire in anger. Click. A loud alert beeped. The officer immediately grabbed his arm. "Step back from the vehicle." He shouted, "It's my car!" The officer replied, "Not while it's evidence." Karen broke down. "This is insane! We run this HOA!" The investigator spoke slowly so everyone heard. "You don't run anything anymore." He read from the screen. "Multiple complaints. Fake violations. Illegal fines, threats, tow fraud." Neighbors started stepping forward. One woman said, "They did this to me too." Another man added, "They towed my truck at midnight." More voices followed. Karen's face collapsed. The power she used for years was breaking in front of her. She tried one last move. She pointed at me and shouted, "He scratched the car. He ruined it." The officer looked at the paint. Perfect. No damage. Then the investigator played the final clip. Audio only. Karen's voice from earlier. "Block him long enough. He'll panic." The street went silent. Her son whispered, "Mom." "What did you do?" She said nothing. The investigator turned to her. "Ma'am, you are now under formal investigation." Karen's legs gave out. She had to hold the car to stand. And that's when I said the line people still repeat later. "I didn't fight for this country to be bullied on my own land." Her head snapped up. "Fight?" she said. I looked at her calmly. "Yes." And suddenly, everything made sense. She stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. "Fight? Where?" she asked, her voice shaking. One of the officers answered before I could. "He's listed as a retired Army engineer. 2 deployments." Karen's mouth dropped open. Her son whispered, "You said he was nobody." I didn't raise my voice. "I kept quiet because my daughter was watching." The investigator looked at me. "You installed the smart driveway system yourself?" I nodded. "Same tech we use to protect bases. It records obstruction, timestamps it, and alerts the county." Karen backed away slowly. "This is a setup." He replied, "No, this is documentation." The neighbors were fully out now. Phones up, recording everything. One man said loudly, So she's been lying to all of us? Another woman added. She fined me for my own trash cans. Karen screamed. They're all against me! The officer said, No, ma'am. The evidence is. Her son suddenly snapped. You told me to do it! You said blocking him would scare him out. Gasps spread through the crowd. Karen turned on him. Stop talking! Too late. The investigator typed something and nodded. That statement is recorded. She lunged for his tablet. The officer stepped in immediately. Ma'am, step back. Her hands dropped. She looked small now, trapped. Then the investigator said something that changed the air completely. The HOA board has been suspended effective immediately. People froze. What? Karen whispered. All HOA authority is revoked until the investigation ends. A woman started crying. We're finally free? Karen slid down onto the curb. Her son stood there staring at his useless car, his shaking hands, his mother falling apart. I walked past them, opened my truck door, and helped my daughter out. She looked at me and asked softly, Daddy, are we safe now? I knelt beside her. Yes, we are. Behind us, the officer read Karen her charges. False reporting, impersonation, fraud. As she was escorted toward the patrol car, she screamed one last time. This neighborhood was mine. I didn't turn around, because it never was, and everyone there finally knew it. The patrol car door closed. The sound was heavy, final. Karen sat inside, staring straight ahead like the world had betrayed her. Her son stood on the sidewalk, lost, holding his phone with no one left to call. The investigator turned to the crowd. Anyone who paid illegal fines will be contacted. Refunds are already in process. People started murmuring in disbelief. One man said, so all those threats, they were fake? The officer nodded. Every one of them. Karen's son suddenly looked at me. You ruined our life. I met his eyes. No, I stopped you from ruining everyone else's. He looked down. The tow driver was handcuffed next. As they walked him past Karen, he muttered, You said this was safe. She didn't answer. Because for the first time, her power meant nothing. The investigator shook my hand. You stayed calm. Most people wouldn't. I said my kid was watching. He nodded like he understood everything. Neighbors slowly came closer. Not angry, not scared, grateful, one woman said quietly. Thank you for standing up. I didn't smile. I just stood my ground. That night I parked my truck in my driveway. No cones, no warnings, no fake notices, just silence. My daughter sat beside me and said, Daddy, the bad people lost. I looked at the house, the land, the quiet street. They didn't lose, I said. They were exposed. The next morning, a new sign went up at the entrance. HOA suspended, county oversight in effect. People stopped to take pictures. Karen's name was gone. And the line people kept sharing online was simple. You can fake power, but you can't fake the truth. The street felt different after that. Not louder, not happier, just free. A few days later, a county meeting was held right on our block. Cameras everywhere, reporters asking questions, neighbors telling stories they were scared to tell for years. One by one, the truth came out. Fake fines, threats, cars towed in the middle of the night, families pushed until they moved away, all traced back to one name, Karen. When they asked me to speak, I didn't plan anything. I just stepped forward and said, I didn't come here to fight anyone. I came here to live in peace. The room went quiet. I served this country so my child wouldn't grow up afraid in her own home. People stood up, not clapping loud, not cheering, just standing. That night, I tucked my daughter into bed. She looked at me and said, Daddy, you didn't yell. You didn't hurt anyone. I smiled. Because real strength doesn't need to. Outside, my truck sat in the driveway. No one blocking it. No notes on the door. No fear. Just my land, my family, my freedom. And the final truth everyone learned was simple. You can bully people with fake power for a long time, but the moment the truth shows up, everything collapses because this is still America, and no Karen owns it. The next morning, I woke up to a knock on the door. Not loud, not angry, careful. When I opened it, 3 neighbors stood there. People who never spoke before. People who used to look down when Karen walked past. One of them held a small envelope. We collected this, he said. For your daughter. school supplies, and a thank you. I didn't know what to say. He added quietly, "You did what we were all too scared to do." Later that day, I saw Karen's house. For sale sign, blinds shut. No flags, no control, no noise. Her son loaded boxes into a car that wasn't his. He looked at me once. Didn't speak. Didn't smile. Just nodded, like he finally understood something too late. That evening, my daughter rode her bike in front of the house for the first time. She laughed. No fear, no watching over her shoulder. I sat on the porch and thought about how close we came to losing peace over someone else's ego. And I realized something simple. Power doesn't come from titles, or boards, or shouting. It comes from standing still when someone tries to push you off your own ground. That driveway stayed empty, not because people were scared of me, but because they finally respected the truth. And the last thing my daughter said before going inside still stays with me. "Daddy, bad people are loud. Good people don't need to be." That's when I knew this story wasn't about parking. It was about freedom. And freedom always finds a way. Weeks passed, and the neighborhood felt lighter. Almost like a weight had been lifted. HOA signs were gone. The fake rules erased. Neighbors waved at each other instead of scowling. Even the local kids rode bikes across the street without fear of being yelled at or fined. One afternoon, my daughter ran up to me holding a small notebook. "Dad, look what I drew." It was a picture of our street. Everyone smiling. Me, her, even some neighbors. And in the corner, in big letters, she wrote, "Truth wins." I laughed softly. "That's right, kiddo." Later that evening, I walked down the street. I saw neighbors fixing fences, planting flowers, just living. One man called out, "Thanks again for standing up." "You changed everything." I just nodded. There was no pride, just relief. At sunset, I parked my truck in my driveway, one last look around. The markers, the land, the freedom, it all belonged to us now. My daughter sat on the porch steps, swinging her legs. She looked up at me and said, "Daddy, we're safe. Forever." I smiled, putting a hand on her shoulder. As long as we remember, courage and truth are stronger than fear and lies. The street was quiet now, peaceful, but the story of that day would live on. And somewhere, Karen and her son would remember you can try to control people with fake power, but truth always finds a way to expose it. And just like that, justice wasn't loud. It was quiet. It was final. It was ours. I walked inside, shut the door, and watched my daughter draw in the living room light. The chaos, the threats, the fake HOA, all of it was over. The final thought hit me clear as day. You can bully people with fake power, but you can't bully the truth. I posted the footage online later that night. Views exploded in hours. Comments poured in, people thanking us, sharing their own HOA horror stories, celebrating justice. The truth went viral before anyone could stop it. Karen's name trended for all the wrong reasons, and her son, well, he learned the hard way that power without respect is nothing. I looked at my daughter and whispered, "We did the right thing." She smiled. And now everyone knows it. Freedom, justice, family, land, all safe, all ours. And the closing line that everyone keeps repeating in the comments, fake power fears the truth. And we just showed it who's boss.